Ladies and gentlemen, Bitcoin has done something very major over the last 5 or 6 hours. It has closed a weekly candle. It's closed that weekly candle over the 2-year-long descending wedge formation on the weekly logarithmic chart. This is a massive boost to macro momentum, strengthening the bullish argument by quite a lot. And obviously, I've been of the opinion the bottom is in since 16K, but this just further confirms it here for Bitcoin. So it's great to see that happening. On top of this, we've got a couple more things to look into. We've got FOMC very soon. We've got the monthly candle close very soon. And we've also got a trend on the DXY, which relates back to the Bitcoin and traditional markets chart, which again is very bullish. So right now, guys, and this is something I've repeated over and over and over again, I think the macro is very strong. Okay, medium term, short term, don't worry about that. Macro, Bitcoin is showing massive strength. Time and time again, things have been broken to the upside. Indicators that are previously acting resistance have been flipped. Time and time again, we've seen these massive pushes to macro strength, and they just keep stacking up, and we could be seeing them even further stacking up over the next couple of days with a few things we're going to be looking into in this video. So without further ado, check out the VIP group, right? Altcoin trading signals in there. You can check out all the information down below. Let's get straight into the video. So this is our starting point for this video, and this is what we're going to be looking into because this is honestly the main thing that's happened. So let's get straight into it. So over the course of the last few weeks, we've seen some speculation going on in the market about whether that short-term upwards trend will continue. And that's still a speculation. We still haven't broken out of a short-term range. We'll look at that in a second. However, we have managed to come up in this pink weekly candle. This is on the logarithmic chart, not the linear one. This pink weekly candle has closed above the resistance zone, labeling this a macro breakout. Excellent to see. Absolutely sensational to see. This is happening at the same time as Bitcoin is seeing huge gains on the RSI, breaking out of this pink resistance line that I'm drawing up right now and showing massive amount of strength. So Bitcoin is in amazingly, strong territory here. We've seen a 4-year cycle bottom as per the date range, collected by the 4-year cycle, which we've been talking about since November 2021. Everything's played out perfectly, and now we're seeing that macro push to the upside. So obviously now, on a macro scale, okay, this is a macro chart. On a macro scale, we've bounced off of 8-year resistance, 8-year support, this yellow uptrending line, right? We've bounced out of a descending wedge formation in a bullish structure. We've broken above bull market support band. We're broken above 300-week SMA, broken above 200-week SMA. 200-day SMA, 50-day SMA, all that kind of stuff. And now we're just looking for our next target on Bitcoin. Where is the next macro target? The next macro target is this red line right here at 28.6K. That is the place in which we were held up for the entirety of the bull market. On 3 separate occasions, that acted as the supporting foundation for the bull market structure. Once we finally lost it, we saw some of the most bearish weekly candles we've seen on Bitcoin since May 2021, and we dropped down further into this bear market range. If we can manage to get above 28.6K, Bitcoin is really looking very strong. That's the next major target. So now that we've broken this wedge, okay, the next macro target on Bitcoin is very much 28.6K. We'll look into the short-term chart in a second, but that's very good to see. So then the question becomes, well, when will we get above 28.6K? Because I've said it over and over and over again, right? I believe the bottom is in. It's my opinion the bottom is in. But in order for it to be confirmed on the charts, which is very different from my opinion, we need to break 28.6K in the same way we needed to break the horizontal level in 2015. Once we broke above that, the bear market was over. In the same way we had to break the horizontal level in 2018. Once we broke above that, the bear market is over. But 28.6K level is exactly the same as that. That is for chart confirmation of the bottom being in. Chart confirmation of us flipping back into bullish territory. Okay, because right now it's just an opinion. Okay, so when will we break above that? When will we get that chart confirmation? Well, we can go back and we can see what I've done here is I've drawn those resistance levels and support levels from previous cycles, okay? And I've looked at how long it takes generally from breakdown below those levels to break above support, break above resistance back above the levels. And generally speaking, we haven't really got much of a trend here. It's very weak evidence here. But we can see if it took the same amount of time as 2015, it would happen in around, let's see, July 2023, and if it took an average between the 2018 time and the 2015 time, it would happen in around April 2023. So we're looking at anywhere between April to July this year, we'll be breaking above 28.6K on Bitcoin as per the historical trends. Now, obviously, the historical trends are very weak because there's only 2 data points regarding this point here. So, it realistically could happen anytime, but if we're going to go for a rough estimate, April to July, so if in the next 2 to maybe 6 months, or 5 or 6 months, we will be getting above 28.6k on Bitcoin, which is great to see. That's good. That's good targets, right? Because look, 28.6k after a macro breakout of that descending wedge, that is still another 15-20% away. So it's not very close, right? We've got some moves to make, and if we can do that over the next 2 to 6 months, that's excellent for Bitcoin. We can get back above in that bullish territory and finally break out of this bearish range. As for shorter-term targets, we've discussed this extensively. I'm really going to skim over it quickly because I don't think it's entirely relevant at this point in time. Short-term is quite simple. I've got 2 dashed pink lines, okay? What we're looking at is those 2 dashed pink lines, one at 21.9k, one at 23.8k, are the critical levels. If we break 23.8k, we'll be heading upwards to the next resistance, which is 28.6. If we break 21.9, we'll be heading down to the next resistance support, which is down here at around 20 to 19.5. It's worth noting, if we do break to the upside, there's no guarantee we go straight to 28.6 because it is very, very far away. It's just that there's a gap in historical resistance there, so we can't really measure any other targets other than that. We will make a move towards it, is probably the better way to put it. I'm not going to offer any more clarity on short term. We've discussed it extensively, and short term TD, honestly, in the last few weeks has been hit or miss. So we're just going to be focusing quite a bit on macro. And speaking of macro, there are a few more things you need to be watching, okay? One of which in 48 hours here is the monthly candle close. The monthly candle close is very important because the monthly candle close will be if we close it in this current price level, that is, we'll be breaking above this macro resistance line on the RSI. Okay, so it's very good if we close in this rough price region. And if we close above 19.2k, which is basically certain at this point, given the fact that it's 48 hours away, we'll be closing above a level in which we held for support on multiple occasions here at the end in the middle of 2022 and the 2017 all-time high, and that will get us back in bullish territory, on a macro scale and further support the current bullish territory we are in. So big stuff to watch there on the monthly chart. We'll look into that a bit more tomorrow, 48 hours until the close. And then, of course, we've got around, 60 hours, 62 hours until we see the FOMC decision. And we'll look into that a lot more tomorrow's video as well. But yeah, the point is within the next, 3 days, let's say 2.5, 3 days, we do have a couple more major things happening on the monthly chart and with FOMC. And I want to get into the next part of this video. The next part of this video is very interesting. It's discussing macro momentum in relation to the DXY. I've got a very unique chart that I've made here. So we'll get into that in a second. But before we dive into that, Bitget Exchange, guys, quick little break here. The Bitget Exchange is the exchange we use on the Wolves of Crypto YouTube channel. It's the exchange all of the VIP members use. 5 times lower fees than Binance, okay? Global exchange, no government regulation. You can sign up from anywhere in the world using a VPN, okay? Which is great because obviously government regulation is like the enemy of cryptocurrency to a certain extent, okay? There is arguments to be made it is decent in some sectors, but certainly not when it comes to exchanges because we want to keep a degree of decentralization. On top of all of that, if you sign up using my referral link, you get access to exclusive rewards and discounts up to a 15% discount in fees just by using my link. It's the best way to support the channel. It's the best way to support yourself as a trader. This is a great exchange. Highly recommend you guys sign up. Go ahead and do that using the referral link in the pinned comment and description. So let's jump back into it. We have identified quite clearly over the course of my entire YouTube channel, but specifically over the last 3 days, because I've been talking about it quite a lot, the fact that the DXY is reverse correlated to Bitcoin. So if the DXY, which is basically the US dollar currency index, right? So it's measuring the strength of the US dollar. If the DXY goes up, Bitcoin goes down. If the DXY goes down, Bitcoin goes up. The DXY is not the same thing as traditional markets, okay? It is correlated but not connected directly to things like the S&P 500, and so you can see deviations, and this is the argument I've been making for the bottom being in on Bitcoin regardless of where the S&P is going, okay? Because it's based on the DXY, not the S&P. Bitcoin is that being, right? So I'll quickly establish this for you here. What we saw, okay, between 2016 and 2018, sharp downtrend in the DXY. What did we see in that time period for Bitcoin? Sharp uptrend, okay? Sharp uptrend on the DXY following that period until the COVID drop. That's when we saw the bear market for Bitcoin, okay? Once the COVID drop happened, we saw a downtrend in the DXY. That's when we saw the 2021, 2022 bull market, okay? Sorry, 2020, 2021 bull market. And then ever since then, we've been going upwards, and that's where we've seen the bear market. And guess what? Ever since November, which is where Bitcoin bottomed, we've been going down on the DXY, and that's when Bitcoin's been going up. So the reverse correlation between Bitcoin and the DXY is you can't mistake it. It's completely and utterly real. It's not an opinion, it's complete fact. And the fact that the DXY is going down here has led to Bitcoin pumping, okay? And has been connected directly to Bitcoin pumping. So if the DXY goes further down, okay, that means Bitcoin will pump further. And there's much evidence for that. And the evidence for that is in this chart. This is the monthly chart on the DXY. What you can see is the last 2 times we have touched this resistance level at 103, we have rejected. After a rejection from that resistance level, we have trended down on both occurrences to this green box at around 88 to 90. Both occurrences, okay? During that downtrend, from the pink line to the green box on both occurrences, Bitcoin saw a 2,900% gain. The S&P saw a 32% gain. On the second occurrence here, Bitcoin saw a 1,300% gain. The S&P saw a 75% gain. We have just lost that pink line. And if history has anything to say for it, okay, yes, we're in an ascending channel as well, which gives us further evidence we'll break down further. If history has anything to say for it, Bitcoin will go downwards towards this green box. And in that time period, both Bitcoin and the S&P 500 will see gains. Big gains, okay? And when will we be touching that green line? Well, if we take a sample from previous price data, price history, we can see that the time in which we go from a rejection to the pink line to a touch of the green box is generally 13 to 10 months. So we will be reaching that green box on the DXY anytime between November and around February 2024. So November 2023 to February 2024, that's when we'll be reaching the green box on the DXY. So basically what's that saying is this. It's saying that Bitcoin, between around now and between November, possibly as far as February, we should be seeing a pretty large macro move. We've already begun that macro move. And it's important to note that during bear markets, what do you see after the bottom? After the bottom is in, you see a macro move, okay? You see a move to the upside. Then you see some consolidation, maybe downwards trends like we saw in 2018, for example, macro move, consolidation, then move to the upside. So basically what the chart is saying right now, and this might be a bit confusing, I'm sorry for confusing you, but basically what the chart is saying right now to me is that Bitcoin will continue going upwards. It will see a macro move until around November to February next year, okay? Then we will see a sideways consolidation, possibly some corrections, and then when the halving happens, we'll finally see our bull market and actually go upwards for real, right? That drawing I just did on the screen was completely hypothetical. That's not what I think is going to happen, but that's a similar structure. So upwards move for the rest of 2023, sideways, possibly downwards in 2024, halving happens, end of 2024, start of 2025, we shoot off. Okay, that's what the general trend would assume. Now, obviously, I'm basing this on a chart that's very preliminary. Obviously, the data's not very strong here, but even going into the 4-year cycle, that's generally what happens. You generally see a sharp move upwards after the bottom, then consolidation and maybe downwards corrections, and then the halving happens, and from that point forward, you go into a bull market. So, you know, even going off 4-year cycle, that's generally what you see. This DXY chart is just interesting, and we'll keep an eye on it, obviously, over the next few months here until the end of the year. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, the main point I just want to cover, again, I've covered this point a few times over the last couple of weeks. Don't worry about the short term too much. The short term right now, it doesn't matter. The short term's not determining whether the bottom's in or not. We're so far above critical levels in terms of bottom confirmation. We're so far past the 4-year cycle theory that the bottom is very, very, very likely to be in, okay? For full confirmation, of course, you need to wait till 28.6K. But regardless of where we go down in the short term, we could go down as far as 19.5K, even lower than that, and the bottom would still be confidently in my opinion. So, you know, we've got a lot of space to work with. Don't worry if we see a short-term correction. It could certainly happen. You know, we've got FOMC in 2.5 days. That could lead to something. And the same thing with the monthly candle close. Big stuff coming up. Don't worry about short-term. Focus on the macro. We're long-term Bitcoin investors after all. We trade altcoins, or at least I do, and that's what we do with the VIP channel. Bitcoin's not necessarily a short-term trade thing for us. We're looking at it more from a long-term perspective. So thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. Before we end it, I want to quickly take a look at the Crypto Academy. If you're interested in becoming a trader, you're interested in learning how to trade, you can check out the Crypto Academy, the Become a Trader 10-unit course developed by myself and Megawell Crypto, who I work very closely with in the cryptocurrency space. We made this course in May last year. Dropped onto the market. We've got about 100 students right now, just under 100 students. I think we've got like 90 or something like that. You can read all about the course on the website, and finally, you can chuck us an email at the bottom of the website here at cryptoacademycourses@gmail.com, and we'll get back to you with a full information pamphlet giving you all the information you need on the course, including the price to make a decision. So thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.